June the 4th, 2026. Here I thought a couple of days ago that I was through with the period not period. And it lingers on. I am so emotional today. I've been crying. I reached out to somebody for a favor that I should have never reached out to them about, and found out that I owe them over $10,000. And I am just like blown away by that, because I got into an agreement with them about buying their house. It wasn't a like a real well, it was a contract, but it wasn't like the purchase of the house. It was like the beginning of, like, I guess the only way to say it is like rent to own type of home situation. And I took out all the money that I could at the time for my 401k. So I gave them like $11,000 to move in, and the payments was $1,600. Before a year, really it was what, not even 3 or 4 months. That's when the domestic violence went down again with me and my ex, and that whole thing blew up. And then he was arrested and sent back to St. Louis to serve some time because he was on parole in Colorado anyway. And so I lived there 1 year after that incident, and that incident happened it happened in February, but he went to prison in March. So once he went to prison in March, I stayed in that house 1 year after that, not working. I didn't have any income. I had gotten fired from my job over some bullshit, which is, the firing from my job is what started the whole fight that we had, because I got fired from my job. And the crazy thing is, I got fired from my job for this white woman touching my hair. And I ducked to keep her from touching my hair, and stated, "Oh, don't touch my hair, because next time I'm gonna have to cut you." And that's a quote from the movie, I think, Harlem Nights. And this area was big on quoting movies, and so but then later on she decided that why would I be upset about her touching my hair when she touches people's dogs all the time without asking them. And so once she made that comment, I reached out to HR. I felt like I needed to reach out to HR. I think that's when I learned that HR is not on your side. HR represents the company. And this particular lady had been with the company for a long time. Although her job was minimal, they just loved her as a person. And so once I reached out to HR about the situation, they started what they consider an investigation that lasted like 3 days. And then after the 3 days, I was fired for saying what I said. Not for her touching me or saying what she said. Either way, this kicked off a big old to-do between me and my ex. And we broke up. But the story is about the fact that, I didn't have any income coming in. I didn't have anybody helping me. And I stayed in the house a whole year. And I, called and begged and and got people to pay the rent because of the domestic violence and all that kind of shit. And then I moved out. Well, come to find out, she never said anything to me about the money. Not once did she say anything to me about the money that I supposedly owe. And I thought all of this time that I had did like this excellent job of living in this house by myself, and really I was just fucked up for real, emotionally and mentally, for the domestic violence to be in my early 40s experiencing something like this and going through it. It was just a lot for me. But I thought I had did so good staying in the house by myself and not working and making sure that rent got paid every month. I paid all the other bills I needed to pay, but I made sure that rent got paid every month. And then come to find out, I owe her $10,000. Oh, she said over $10,000. And she said this was because of the carpet. And I don't recall having any carpet issues or the carpet being like damaged to the point where it needed to be replaced. Yes, she said, that it was a carpet issue, and that my son he did stick a toy down in the toilet stool in the main bathroom, the main bedroom bathroom, that she said ended up flooding the bathroom. But this must have happened after I left, because there was never a flood while I was there. And so they had to replace the floor in the bathroom and something else. And this is where this money came from that I owe. Now, I hate owing somebody for anything. But what's confusing to me is that she never said anything to me about it. And she said that she told her husband that the friendship that me and her had created was more important to her than the money. But the favor that I asked probably prompted a conversation between her and her husband, where he pulled out a folder with my name on it, showing the money that I owe. And just going back and forth with her on text, and it wasn't back and forth like we was arguing, we was just talking back and forth. It was just like really sad for me that was a thing, that I owed them over $10,000. But nobody ever said anything to me about it. Because even if I didn't pay her back all that money, I would have made an effort to. I would have definitely made an effort to. And it made me sad, like it's making me sad now. But I know that most of that sadness is coming from the period, not period, and that's where I'm like really feeling some type of way, because I guess I just have like a few days of not having any issues, but I couldn't even hardly sleep last night because I was cramping so bad. I was cramping in the back of my legs, which is where I usually get cramps at. But I was also cramping in my pelvis area. And cramping pretty bad. For real. Just for me to think it was over. And the first time that I made the video, this period, not period, go round, was May the 20th. And so today is June the 4th, and that is like 14 days ago. 14, maybe 15 days ago. And it's a damn shame that I have to go through something like this every month for this extensive amount of time. And I literally been going through this, to my knowledge, and it was probably beforehand, but to the knowledge that I have, it had been going on since January of 2012. But like I said, it was probably happening before then, but I literally realized in January that I only felt good, like normal good, not like just happy good, but normal good for 2 weeks out of the month. And that had been, and the reason why I had noticed it then was because I was going into the doctor, because I was like super emotional about everything. So that was 2012, and we're literally in 2026, and this thing is still going on, and it's still affecting my everyday life. Man, I don't, and there's no healing for this. There's no healing for this that I know of. I mean, I have somewhat healed it in the sense that I'm not having the suicidal ideations because I'm consistent with taking those supplements that I'm making. But that's crazy that somebody would spend, that's already a half a month right there, 15 days. Because if I made the video on May the 20th, that means I was probably experiencing it on the 19th, which made me make the video on the 20th. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. And because I was all upset with that whole situation, I started shopping. Like that was like something that, like I felt like I needed some relief, and that was the relief. That was what was gonna offer me the release to buy something. So I went to Home Goods and bought some random bullshit that I didn't need. But you know, I guess that's what therapy is about, just having somebody to talk to. Because when you don't have nobody to talk to and kind of go through whatever it is that you're going through, it's hard to deal with that by yourself. It really is. It's hard to deal with that by yourself. And I have had to do it since 2008. Really, I've had to do it my entire life, but I wasn't going through menopause trying to do it. And you know what's funny about the back and forth that we had was that she consistently compared herself to me. When she had a mother that loved her so much that she chose her over her other siblings. Her father did the same thing. And then she met a guy in high school at 15 that she's been with since she was 15. So she's never been without love. But she tries to say different things that she asked for or she wanted that she didn't get. and that it's like comparable. And it's not. It's not comparable. Because all I've ever wanted in my life for real is to be loved by somebody. Like from the time I came out the chute, and I have been rejected by literally everybody that has had the opportunity to love me, including my children. So she brought that up, that, you know, that her siblings don't like her, that she don't get along with her siblings. And I tried to explain this to her before about her siblings, because she really, really loves her mother, but the mother that she had is not the same mother that they had, because she was different for her. And instead of seeing that that wasn't your siblings' fault, that your parents chose you over them, they punish her for it. But I said to her in the back and forth that, you know, your siblings are irrelevant, really. And she was like, no, because after your parents leave, that's all you have is your siblings. So I said to her, I said, so imagine not having your parents and not having your siblings. Because that's my life. Not having no parents and not having no siblings. And I literally got 4 sisters and a brother, and not a relationship with now one. And then she kept calling me strong and saying that, you know, but I keep pushing forward and I keep going and all that kind of shit. And it's like, yeah, I keep pushing forward and I keep going because really I'm too coward to kill myself. I don't even have enough courage to leave a bad situation. That's why I feel like there's some upside to it. Because everything that happens here on earth is a good and a bad in it. And while everybody tries to make that to be the worst thing that you could do, it could be possibly the first time you ever choose yourself over anything else. And while I'm trying to sit up and act like I'm learning to love myself, am I really loving myself? Considering that I won't do the obvious? Because the obvious is let it go. Let it go. Let it go.